and today I'm going to be talking about Japan. Its history, location, territorial disputes, population distribution, and more. First, let's talk about Japan's history, specifically how it shaped it into the nation it is today. Japan was isolated from the rest of the world, but the US wanted to trade with them, which led to them forcefully being opened up to other countries. This also made them a more powerful country, as they rapidly militarized. This is actually how they were able to beat the Russian Empire, that was also partly due to Russia underestimating Japan. This is also how Japan was able to invade so many countries in World War II. However, when they lost, the US began Reconstruction in Japan, which led to a strong bond between the two. This also helped jumpstart the economy, which is why Japan has such a strong economy today. Now let's move on to size. Japan is probably bigger than you realize. Because it's made up of islands, many people see it as sort of small. In reality, Japan is actually quite big, beating countries like Germany, Finland, Poland, Italy, and the UK in terms of area. It is approximately 145,000 square miles, or 375,000 square kilometers, making it the 62nd biggest country in the world in terms of area. Now let's move on to its location. Japan is an island nation located in the eastern part of Asia, meaning unlike most of Asia, it isn't actually attached to the continent. Of course, this isn't just unique to Japan, as there are many other island nations in Asia, like the Philippines and Indonesia. Let's move on to how Japan is divided up. Japan is divided up not by states, but by prefectures. Japan is divided into 47 prefectures, the largest being Hokkaido, and the smallest being Kagawa. Of these 47 prefectures, 43 are only really truly prefectures, as there are also 2 urban prefectures, 1 territory, and 1 metropolis. Let's move on to the capital of Japan. This one is pretty easy to remember. It's Tokyo. Tokyo is actually not really a city, but a prefecture. Even though many people mention it as a city, it technically isn't. It's a prefecture that is further divided into 23 cities. Let's move on to population and population distribution. Japan has a pretty high population, with about 125 million people, behind Mexico and in front of Ethiopia. It also has a high population density, with about 860 people per square mile, or 530 people per square kilometer. The population around Tokyo is especially high. Let's move on to territorial disputes. Japan has many territorial disputes with other countries. The most famous one is the dispute over the Kuril Islands, which are claimed by both Japan and Russia. Japan claims part of it, while Russia claims the entire thing. There is also another territorial dispute. It's a dispute between Japan, China, South Korea, and Taiwan over Okino-Torishima, which is a very tiny island located in the Philippine Sea. There are a couple more territorial disputes, but those are really the biggest ones. Let's move on to famous places. First of all, Japan is home to Tokyo, which is one of the most populated and famous cities in the world. It is also home to Mount Fuji, Imperial Tokyo, Hiroshima Peace Memorial Park, and much more. Now let's move on to its neighbors. Since Japan is an island, it has no actual neighboring countries. However, it used to share a border with Russia. When Japan defeated Russia, they got half of Sakhalin, while Russia got the other half, meaning Russia and Japan actually shared a land border with each other. Also, the Japanese Empire shared borders with dozens of other countries, like China, India, Mongolia, and more. Today, it's close to quite a few countries like Russia, North Korea, South Korea, and China. Let's move on to Japan's major strengths. As it is an island, it's quite difficult to invade, as you cannot march troops on the ocean. Not only that, but the East Sea, also known as the Sea of Japan, makes it even more difficult to invade, as it is very dangerous, which is one of the reasons why the Mongol Empire was unable to conquer them. On top of that, they have a strong economy and have strong ties to the US. They also have one of the highest qualities of life anywhere on the planet. Finally, let's move on to Japan's weaknesses. Japan is constantly being threatened by North Korea, as they have made many threats against them of using ballistic missiles. On top of this, Japan and Chinese relationships are very poor. Also, Japan appears to be willing to defend Taiwan from a Chinese invasion, which could bring war to Japan. And that's Japan's history and geography. If you enjoyed this video, consider liking and subscribing for more content. Also, leave a comment about what I should do for my next video. See you next time!